There are many problems, I think, that families have that contribute to the fact that they're unable to get their children ready to go to school.
Having worked across all age groups in school, when you are in the nursery, the difference between children who have been taught things that you perhaps wouldn't realise they don't know, how to use a knife and fork, how to sit at a table, how to sit on the carpet and listen. Some children really don't know those things.
There are lots of reasons why some children might be classified as not being school ready. The shape of family structures have changed. We see today, I think, more and more communities that are fractured. When a child first goes to school, what you would hope is that they're able to form friendships, to communicate and relate to other children. For some children, this isn't the case. We see high levels of unemployment across the country. We see big differences between the rich and the poor. Home-Start volunteers can be amazing role models to help families in terms of school readiness. With Home-Start, the support that's offered lasts for as long as the family needs it.
I thought carefully about where I wanted to volunteer, and I was a single parent, so I recognised the value that support can give when you're on your own. As a volunteer, I visit once a week. When I come, I am a friend to Manjeet.
What is it?
And then I also play with Nesa. Hi Nesa, hello sweetie. How are you?
I'm originally from Afghanistan. Due to Taliban and war in Afghanistan, we moved to India. My husband was a journalist and right activist. He was not safe. We decided to come to UK. And my situation in the country is I'm seeking asylum. I got pregnant, had some differences with my husband, so he was not living with me when Nesa was born. That's when I was referred to Home-Start. But me being in my wheelchair, I didn't know how to bath Nesa. It was Home-Start volunteer who helped me.
With Manjeet being in a wheelchair, there are some things that I can probably do more easily with Nesa. Going around the play activities and lifting her onto things, lifting her off things, it's easier for me to do. Manjeet's Punjabi speaking as well as English speaking. Oh, do you want to look at the game? I think hearing someone speaking English clearly is good and important for home preparation for going to school. Do you know how to make the music? I retired about 3 years ago, so I decided to do the Home-Start training. Training is excellent. It was quite a large group, there was about 10 of us. If I was to have any problems or questions, I know I could speak to the coordinator and they would advise me as I needed. So I feel very well supported by the organisation.
You are meeting a friend, but you're not going to be judged. Me and my Home-Start volunteer, Madeline, we click.
Redbird, where does that go?
What I'm going through is normal, it's not my fault. And you know, it's part of the process of being a single mother.
My name's Georgia. I'm 20 years old, and at the time of me being pregnant, I turned 18 in the August and the boys were born in the September. So I was 17 and pregnant. My mum and dad didn't know I had a boyfriend. They didn't even know I was involved with anybody. The pregnancy for me was very stressful because of my hypermobility and because of them being twins. So it was a very dangerous pregnancy anyway, and I was on bed rest the whole way through. And where we moved to, it was the second floor flat. We had a double buggy that was side by side, and I couldn't carry it up the stairs because I'm disabled. I'm hypermobile EDS. It's a connective tissue disorder that runs in my family. Our family setup while we were in the flat with the twins was that Chris would be up with the boys getting ready for work. So I'd wake up with him feeding them already. We'd have like 5 minutes crossover and then go off to work. I was on my own with these two. So waking up throughout the night 4:30, I was doing one, then doing the other, then going back to sleep. And it was very much military. So my postnatal depression started kind of sneaking through. I wasn't taking note of Chris. I wasn't taking note of anybody really. I wasn't really speaking to anybody. I wasn't reaching out. My Home-Start volunteer Susie was a light at the end of a very dark tunnel for me, of isolation and being on my own and not being able to move. My independence, I had nothing at all. It was just me and these two babies. So Susie was literally the lifeline for me to get back on my feet and keep moving.
Where is the play? Sometimes we go out, we could sit and chat over a cup of tea. She was quite isolated.
And each time Susie came, we arranged to do something, whether it be go to the shop to get bread and milk, normal things that you need.
I think Home-Start's helped my family a lot because it helped take the pressure off on Georgia while I was out at work. I knew someone was there supporting Georgia.
So it kind of gives you 5 minutes to catch up with yourself on your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts. You kind of just have a minute to sit and think. I mean, without Susie giving me that time, then I would have kept going deeper into this hole. I dread to think what my life would be like without Home-Start.
If it's genuinely a struggle when you get up in the morning just to get your kids up and fed and clothed and washed, and then you've got to go and work, it can be hard for you to sit down and spend that one-to-one parent-child time doing the extra bits. The things that will help a lot when it comes to that child being ready to go into a school environment.
I'm Junia, I'm 36 years old. I was born in the UK and I lived here until I was 7. And then I lived with my parents to Saudi Arabia. I went to study university in Syria and met my husband. And when I got married, I stayed there for 4 years. I had Sarah.
I come from Syria and I am 9 years old. We were really happy in Syria. We used to have loads of fun and we used to play with dolls and we used to go out with my auntie and my cousin.
Because of the war in Syria, everything was destroyed and all your memories, everything just went away with that house. And I get out with nothing actually. Any second, maybe the shell would just come on you, you don't know. And the area was surrounded, don't know if you have a chance to get out alive from there. When I left Syria, Sarah was 4 years old. I was pregnant. We came to the UK and my husband applied for a visa to come to the UK, but he was refused. When I gave birth to my daughter, I was alone. It was a very hard moment having nobody from your family. Her father was not here to see her when she was first born. You feel that you were in an empty place. I stayed for nearly 5 months by myself. We didn't know anyone. We didn't have any friends, any family here. A lady from the Home-Start, she was in the breastfeeding team. She helped me a lot in the hospital. And also she said, if you need any help at home, you just call me. And this is actually what had happened. She explained to me that they have volunteers from the Home-Start and immediately she filled up the forms.
When I first met Junior, she was very isolated. Volunteers do so many things within Home-Start families. We have a project in Greater Manchester called PIMS, which stands for Parent Infant Mental Health. And volunteers do some specific training around that, looking at the impact that a parent's mental health might have on the well-being of a child and a baby, and you even look before the baby's born. If you have parents who are perhaps suffering from postnatal depression, it could be mums and dads, then they might be less able to connect and communicate with their children.
Lots of tiny living things.
The uniqueness of Home-Start is the early intervention aspect, and it's getting in there very early before families actually reach a crisis point.
I had all the responsibilities by myself, 2 girls in a new place. You miss your family. I've tried living here more than 1 year without my mom. I miss my father really. So when I had my volunteer, she spent also time with my daughters, which they needed from me.
Help with reading letters and correspondence from the council, for example.
Playing, reading, taking them out.
She just needed a lot of support.
When Lorna, my Home-Start volunteer, came, I would say that it was the beginning for me.
She was also under a lot of strain because her husband was still in Syria, and so he'd obviously never seen his newborn daughter. And she was aware that he was trying to get to this country, but really she was helpless.
I'm thinking, what's happening and where is he?
Every day I see myself I'm dying. Yeah. I tried every day to come to UK. It's hard, not easy. Yeah.
When they arrived in the UK, Sarah was placed in a school, and it was 2 bus journeys away from where they live.
I had no chance for schools around me. I didn't know what to do until my volunteer came. My Home-Start helped me with an appeal.
We were lucky enough to win the appeal, so Sarah was able to go to a school that's literally a stone's throw from our house, and it's made a huge difference to this family's quality of life.
I like going to school and learning because it helps me grow up to be a better person and be smart.
My background training was as a speech and language therapist, so I thought I've got a lot of experience in my career that I can bring as far as early intervention with children is concerned.
I became a Home-Start volunteer when my youngest son started at primary school.
I became a Home-Start volunteer because after many years of working in secondary schools, I realised that the real way to make a difference, which is what I set out to do, was actually to put money and resources and time into children who were much younger than the ones I was dealing with in a secondary school.
For over 30 years I've been a teacher of early years. I feel like a wealth of information and experience having dealt with so many children, so many parents with problems.
The idea of this prep course is obviously for you to get to know Home-Start, but it's also for me to get to know you, and sometimes volunteer.
I'm here today to do the Home-Start prep course because I was in an abusive relationship, and having 3 children and trying to keep your sanity, having that support system there and someone to go, there, it's going to be okay, makes a huge difference.
You can tell the children that have had parents, grandparents who've done a lot with them, talked to them, taken them out. But those children that haven't had that experience, they really are at a disadvantage.
So we're going to look at here, so our hopes for coming on the prep course, our hopes for being a Home-Start volunteer.
I've decided to be a Home-Start volunteer. I used to work in sales and I want a total change.
In the future, I do hope to have some sort of a career in being an outreach worker or social care or something along the lines.
Being a Home-Start volunteer could be a stepping stone in a totally different career for me, and I would be interested in working maybe even with the police.
You can see the family moving forward as well, and that's why me and Karen do regular reviews, support and supervision with yourself.
I've been very lucky through my life. I've had a wealth of support through parents, friends, relatives, and I just want to give that back to somebody who's perhaps not got that support.
As a volunteer, you are supporting, not doing.
There are many families in our society, unfortunately, who require help from outside.
It can be quite personal because you can relate that to your own experiences as a parent, and when you do that, parents seem to take that more on board.
It's a great privilege to go in these families and try and help out, and I've certainly gained a great deal of personal satisfaction from helping those with whom that's been successful.
I think people should become a Home-Start volunteer because they help families who need help.